We'll go to the top of the second in a 0-0 tie here from Field 1 on an absolutely gorgeous day in the only place you want to be in the summertime in Atlantic, Canada. Not the only place, but the major place you want to be. Obviously, the whole region, beautiful this time of the year. But Charlottetown, PEI, 2 gorgeous days in a row now. Temperatures are going to start to cool off tomorrow. And then they're talking about thunder showers in the forecast tonight. And coming towards this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, there is talk of rain. So it's going to be very interesting weather-wise as the week goes on here in late August in Charlottetown. And it's been a tough August for a lot of organizers and administrators at these tournaments, trying to get all the games in. Let's go to the top of the second. Here's Mark Arsenault, Chris Craig, and Jamie Betts. Mike Craig, should anyone reach. Tyler Williams on Twitter, watching the hosts play the D-backs. Thanks very much, Tyler Williams, out there watching. That is fouled off. And Curtis Riley watching from up West PEI. A shout out to Jordan Jesus Costello. And good luck to the Fawcetts from the O'Leary Eagles. So Curtis Riley, thanks very much on Twitter. One and one coming up on Arsenault. Low and inside, 2-1. Softball Quebec out there watching. Obviously cheering on Team QC, but sitting back and watching a great day of softball. Winds are gusting into the 20-kilometer area, and they're kind of blowing from left to right inwards. Just off the plate. 2 balls and 2 strikes. McCullough out there for his second inning of work. Struck out the side after an error, and a man reached to second on a stolen base, and he's got a walk here. So a walk to Mark Arsenault. And that'll bring up Chris Craig.
Now batting number 41, Chris Craig.
So Chris Craig, the third baseman, had a great defensive play there in the first inning. Batting from the left side, wearing number 41. Just outside 0-1. Make sure you follow along with the tournament. You can get all the stats at championship.softball.ca. Championship.softball.ca for all your statistical information to follow along the tournament. They have the great app. It's called the Game Live. You can follow along with every single pitch, get your updated stats. Really outstanding Major League Baseball type app that they use here. So you can follow along. Foul straight back, 2-1. Craig thought he had one dialed up there on the 2-0 pitch. We're going to have a fun day here all day from Field 1 and a couple games from Field 2. Joining me at 6:30 for the host game versus Quebec is going to be Denny King, who's one of the great broadcasters here in PEI. He's the voice of the UPEI men's hockey team. He does a lot of great stuff for Bell Alliant on a variety of levels. And he'll be joining me for the 6:30 webcast. The host team versus Team Quebec. That's just off the plate. We'll go to a full count pitch here with a runner at first base. No outs in the inning. McCullough getting together with his catcher, Clement Haga. A shout out to Tessa Shirley. I know she's watching in Saskatoon. Swinging and missing is Craig. Out on strikes. That's the 4th strikeout for McCullough. Every single one of his outs so far have been strikeouts. But Tessa Sherling watching. She's one of the great fast pitch families here at the tournament. She's got 4 kids who play fast pitch at different levels. And 2 family members here playing for Saskatoon, the Clement Haggis. Big swing and a miss for Jamie Betts, the second baseman. Off the top of the bat. Bunted to the backstop, and now 1-2. Betts comes in here. They only have 1 game of stats so far for PEI. Of course, they played 2 games yesterday. But Betts did not have a hit in his first game yesterday. High swinging strike. McCullough falls as he delivers that one. The 5th strikeout for McCullough on the high heat to Jamie Betts, and McCullough fell to his right-hand side as he threw it. So how's that for a little bit of oomph? McCullough blows a wheel and still gets a strikeout. So 2 outs in the inning. Runner still at first. And here's Mike Craig. 6 strikeouts now for McCullough. The 1-0. In there for a strike, 1-1. Corner infielders are in at the bags. Strike 2, and Devin McCullough a strike away from striking out the side for the 2nd straight inning. The 1-2 with 2 outs and a runner at first. Strike 3. Mike Craig out swinging. Devin McCullough absolutely dealing right now. He's seen 8 batters. Every single out has been via the K. 6 strikeouts, all swinging. Has given up an error. An error to the second baseman in the first. And Mark Arsenault got a walk. So no runs, no hits, no errors. 1 left on. And we'll go to the top of the 2nd. And Don Scott will try to match this early performance by Devin McCullough. Again, he was the winning pitcher yesterday over Quebec. And right back to it. So contact information again on the screen. Al Martin on the email. Thanks very much, Al Martin from Boston. That's awesome. You guys down there in Boston. Wishing Devo good luck. Pitches for his club team, the New York Swashbucklers. Thanks very much for that.
Leading off the bottom of the 2nd for Saskatchewan.
So McCullough.
Number 37, Colin Sean.
On the New York Swashbucklers. Thanks very much to Al Martin checking in from Boston. So we'll go here to the bottom of the 2nd. Colin Sean, Jim Glemenhaga, and Chad Sterling all coming up. Pitch on the outside corner. Glemenhaga, the catcher. due up second. Just had the PA announcer come over and check with me one more time. It's one of the more interesting pronunciations here at the tournament. Great play at second by Betts. So Colin Shawn out 4-3. And here's Jim Clement-Haga. Greg Stapleton on the email. Thanks very much, Greg Stapleton. A shout out to the host team, Charlottetown, and Greg Trinkets Stapleton. All the guys from the Charlottetown Jays. Or a shout out from manager coach Greg Trinkets Stapleton. So Trinkets checking in on the email. All shout out from the guys on the Charlottetown Jays of the Kings County Baseball League, who's getting at it tonight. They're starting their playoff run tonight for the KCBL Championship. A pitch off the plate, 1-1. All the best to the Fawcetts team and coaching staff. Greg Trinkets Stapleton, a shout out to the Fawcetts. One and one to Jim Clement-Haga. Clement-Haga still looking for his first hit. 0 for 5 so far through 2 games. Had a walk, 2 strikeouts. Looking at a 1-2 pitch here. Strike 3 on Clement-Haga. Caught looking, 2 outs in the inning. And now Clement-Haga 0 for 6. That'll bring up the big first baseman, or the big left fielder, sorry, Chad Sterling. He was the first baseman yesterday. Sterling, a big fella, batting from the left side. Fouls that one out to the parking lot, somewhere as near where my car is parked. So hopefully that is not going to be a dent on the hood when I go back out at some point today. I knew that was going to be a dangerous place dangerous spot to park. I thought I had the George Costanza spot, but maybe not. 0-2. Parking at a premium here at the facility. If you don't show up a little bit early, you can end up a mile away. For you friends from Saskatoon, Charlottetown, here in PEI, the feature city of the province. Just absolutely a perfect place to be in the summertime. About as green as you can get. You Saskatoon fans will appreciate that. Betts, another play, 4-3. So 3 up, 3 down. No runs, no hits, no errors, none left on base. We'll go to the top of the third in a scoreless tie so far. We're just cruising along in our 12:30 game, or our 12 o'clock game, which got a late start. So this is good for organizers. If this one keeps cruising, they might be able to get that second game started pretty quickly and stay on schedule. But Charlottetown, just about as green as you can get in the summertime. And there's 2 provinces, of course, that symbolize the color green on jerseys and what have you. It is Saskatchewan and Prince Edward Island. Provincially, more often than not, a PEI team will wear green uniforms. Cavendish Beach is nearby. It's an absolutely beautiful, long beach vacation for anybody who visits the city and the area. And it's a gorgeous day here. About 25 degrees. Again, wind blowing right to left. And not a cloud in the sky at the moment. Skies were threatening just about an hour and a half ago, but then that quickly went away. Again, they're talking about thunder showers as we go along. Tonight, actually, there is a percentage chance of thunder showers. Tyler Doucette steps in. Way out in front of the changeup. Quickly 0-2. If you're just joining us, Devin McCullough has struck out 6 in a row. Every single out so far retired via the strikeout. Foul tips that one off. go to the top of the third again. Both pitchers have faced the same amount of batters. And their first strike, 1 and 2. Just high. You can see why McCullough fell on one of those strikeouts. McCullough struck out a man in at the second, Jamie Betts, and fell down to his pitching side. Every time he pitches, has a dramatic drop-off to the right side. Seems like every single one of these pitchers has a very unique part of their delivery, and that's definitely McCullough's. A dramatic drop to his pitching side after he releases. And that mound a little choppy out there. Just viewing it from the press box behind home plate. So maybe having a hard time getting comfortable on the mound. 7 strikeouts for McCullough. Doucette down on strikes. Every single out so far has been a strikeout. And now here's Brendan Horn. Brendan, one of the only guys to reach, put one in play and reach on an error to Clement Haga. Off-speed pitch. Out in front is Brendan Horn, and Horn just kind of gave McCullough a look right there as if to say, are you kidding me? The 0-1, up high. Again, McCullough was the early runner for tournament MVP 15 minutes into this week's showcase. He had struck out the side, then came up in the top of the first, hit a solo home run. Strike 2. And this is really something else right now. McCullough is just mowing down the John Brown's Fawcetts. 1 and 2. Now there's good contact to center field, but settling under it will be Potskin. So Potskin makes the catch. So Horn, the one guy who's put 2 balls in play, again, reached on the air, and then actually gets into one a little bit to center field, but ends up being a lazy fly ball for Potskin. 2 outs in the inning. Here's Jeff Ellsworth. Ellsworth struck out back in the first. And he's got himself a knock. The first hit against McCullough, a single for Ellsworth. So 1 for 2 is Jeff. Now this is the second time through the lineup for the Fawcetts. So to use that classic old baseball analogy that commentators talk about all the time, the second time through the lineup, maybe starting to figure out McCullough a little bit. Runner goes, throw down to second, and sliding in Slavey is Ellsworth. Now, with everything said and done, with the domination of McCullough aside, this is the second time that PEI has had a runner at second base. Saskatoon has only had a runner at second base once in Brennan Pacoyaway. So the go-ahead run in scoring position at second, and here's Andy Skelton. And therefore strike 1 and 1. The 1-1. Up high, 2 and 1. Good eye there by Skelton. Mark Johnson to follow, then Mark Arsenault. Should anyone reach. Actually, Skelton to follow, or Johnson to follow, should Skelton reach. There's 2 outs in the inning with the runner at second base. The 2-1. A chopper to second. Clement Haga on the run. Gorgeous play by Clement Haga. 4-3 will go Skelton on your scoreboard or your scorecard, but that was an absolutely wonderful play by Clement Haga, ranging towards second base, throwing across his body to get Andy Skelton by a step. So PEI sends 4 men to the plate. That has been their trend. Every single inning, they've sent 4 men. This time, they get a hit, but still no runs, no errors, 1 left on base. They've stranded a runner every single inning so far. And now here's Derek Arsenic coming up.
No errors and 1 runner left on base.
In the bottom of the third for Saskatoon. Arsenic, then McCullough, then Clement Haga. Back to the top of the order. Susan Johnson, watching from Glencoe, Ontario, and wishing Mark Johnson and PEI the best of luck. Go PEI, go. Thanks very much, Susan Johnson, reaching out on the email. So comments and feedback coming up. Keep them coming. We're live and interactive on your leader in local sports broadcasting in Atlantic, Canada. Bell Alliant Community 1. From beautiful Charlottetown, our second game of the day on a busy Wednesday of action from the championships. Right back up the middle, first pitch swinging, and that's a solid knock for Derek Arsenic. So Arsenic at first base. That's the 3rd hit for Saskatoon. Devin McCullough, the pitcher. He struck out in the first. McCullough 2 for 8 so far in the tournament with 1 home run and the 1 RBI. Devin can strike him out, but he's also prone to the strikeout. He's got 3 strikeouts in 8 at-bats. Sacrifice bunt that will spin foul on the first baseline. He'll have to try it again. So the Diamondbacks looking to sacrifice in a game that could feature a premium for runs with the way these two guys are dealing. 1 or 2 runs could win this thing. Jeff Kirk checking in on the email. A high fly ball to left field, outside or in left field, settling under it is Johnson. So Mark Johnson makes the catch. Just around the line. Gets it back in quickly. Devin McCullough out on a pop out to left field. Anthony Clement Haga coming up here. Clement Haga grounded out to third base in his first at bat. He's now 2 for 8, batting .250. Couldn't get the bunt down. Fouled off the top of the bat, straight back. But again, Jeff Kirk checking in. Thank you very much, Jeff. Oh and 1. Gets the bunt down nicely. Plays to first. And they make it. So a sacrifice bunt for Clement Haga. The second out is Clement Haga, and that'll bring up the heart of the order here, beginning with Pekoyaway. Pekoyaway has been a beast so far. 5 for 8 in the tournament. 1 home run, 3 RBIs. So this is a guy you want up with a runner at second base. It's dangerous territory for Don Scott. First base is open. And calling timeout here will be Pekoyaway, as Don Scott and the catcher Craig couldn't get on the same page for signs. So Mike Craig will go out and talk to Don Scott. And he'll try to get a game plan here for how to go at Pekoyaway. First pitch to Pekoyaway. Just off the plate, 1-0. Woo. Just missing on the low inside portion. And catcher Mike Craig asking the umpire where that one was at. Swinging on the 2-0 pitch and fouled out of play down the first or third base line and over the vendors into the parking lot. Coming up at 2 o'clock here on field 1. Fouled away at the exact same spot. Coming up at 2 o'clock, it is going to be Team Quebec versus Nova Scotia. So Nova Scotia's got to quickly get some food, get some water, and get back on the field. They just lost to the Three Cheers pub at 10 o'clock. The East Hants Mastodons versus Quebec. That is a 2 o'clock scheduled to start. Chances are good that will be after that. Your start times for a lot of these games here today on field 2 are about 2 hours apart, and that is ambitious to say the least. Swinging and missing is Pecoy away. The throw down at first. They'll get a huge out here. Pecoy away out on strikes. That's his second strikeout of the tournament. So Saskatoon sends 4 men to the plate. And they get the 1 hit. 1 left on. No errors, no runs. We'll go to the top of the 4th. But now with that said, the way this one is cruising along, maybe they will get that game in for a 2 o'clock start. McCullough and Don Scott just absolutely rolling right now through opposing hitters. McCullough with 7 strikeouts. Don Scott with 3. But outstanding control by both pitchers. Scott has not allowed a walk yet. So back and forth they go. You're watching Bella Line Community 1, the home of Inside the AUS. Inside returns for its 3rd season this September. An in-depth look at the players, coaches, administrators, and fans of Atlantic University sport. Inside the AUS on Bella Line Community 1 on your fiber op package on demand and at bellaline.net/community1. Inside the AUS, back for its 3rd season. Bella Lions top ranked show. So let's go to the 4th inning. Here is Mark Johnson, Mark Arsenault, and Chris Craig, the 4, 5, 6 hitters coming up for PEI. And throwing his bat towards second base and fouling it off is Mark Johnson. A sheepish smile here for Mark Johnson. He'll dig back in. Struck out, did Mark, in the 1st inning. One of many strikeout victims so far for McCullough. He struck out his first 7 outs through 9 hitters. That is low. 1-1. High swinging strike, 1-2. That's straight up stance, just off the inside portion for Mark Johnson. A classic with the feet shoulder width apart. Front foot just slightly out in front of the back foot. High and outside, 3-2. And bouncing it off that front foot, or hitting it off the front foot, is Johnson. You can see him bend in pain there just for a second, but I think he's all right. That's called strike 3 on the inside portion. Johnson thought about swinging and thought he'd hold back and maybe get the ball 4 pitch, but in there for a strike. And that's the 8th strikeout now. We got here 3, 6, 7, 8 strikeouts for McCullough. Mark Arsenault, he struck out. Actually, Mark had a walk, in the 2nd and was stranded at first. Just off the plate. Looked like he got that outside corner, but called a ball 1-1. Unable to hold back on the off-speed pitch is Arsenault. Down low, 2-2. Foul straight back. Chris Craig to follow, and Jamie Betts should anyone reach. Infielders tight and flush with the bag. Center field straight away. The 2-2. To short. Great play by Pakoyaway. He can do it all. Defense and batting. Pakoyaway ranging to his right. And throwing across the body to get Arsenault 6-3.
Batting number 41, Chris Craig.
Chris Craig will come up. Chopper behind home plate. The 0-1. Gas on the outside, unable to catch up is Chris Craig, and McCullough a strike away from moving on to the 5th inning, or the bottom of the 4th. Saskatoon trying to get something going offensively. Up high, 1-2. Shot right up the middle. Nicely done by Chris Craig. He's on for the 2nd time. Or for the 1st time, sorry. Craig struck out back in the 2nd. But he has a single now. So 1 for 2 is Chris Craig. He's at first base. There's Jamie Betts. He struck out back in the 2nd. Low for ball 1. In there for a strike, 1-1. Two outs in the inning. Runner down at first is Chris Craig. Jamie Betts at the plate. Mike Craig would follow should he reach. Fouled into the stands. Nearly a nice catch by a guy wearing a Hawaiian shirt down there, about 5 rows up on the 3rd base side. And now he hops on the cell phone. He must have got saw on the webcast. Somebody at home calling him right away to tell him that he was on the air. One and two. Fouled high, and again, dangerously close to where I'm parked over here on the 3rd base side, just behind the vendors. The 1-2. outs in the inning. Still down at first is Chris Craig. Strike 3 on Jamie Betts. 4 men again. How's that for a pattern? 4 straight innings of PEI sending 4 men to the plate. 2 strikeouts in the inning. McCullough now has 9. They do get a hit. 1 left on. No runs, no errors. PEI has left a runner on base every single inning. And around that, they have 2 hits, and they've struck out 9 times as we go to the bottom of the 4th. So we're halfway home here in just a good old pitcher's battle. Curtis Riley on Twitter. They got Corey Spud Morrison on the stream, watching from Ottawa. A good old Islander who plays for the Broker for Tickets Club. So Corey Spud Morrison, an Islander in Ottawa, watching the stream of the Broker for Tickets. Great to have you with us. Right now, the Fawcetts dealing with Devin McCullough, who is just absolutely dealing. But Don Scott pitching very well for Fawcetts. He's only given up 3 hits. Saskatoon has stranded 3. Nobody has seen third base in this game for either team. Scott up high, 1-0. And therefore strike 1-1. As mentioned, 2 o'clock, we got Quebec and Nova Scotia. Chris Abbott with you. Chris Abbott with you from Field 1, or Field 2 coming up at 3. That'll be Newfoundland 1 versus Newfoundland 2. A hot shot on a 1 bouncer. To third baseman Craig, no problem down there for Chris. So Ethier out, 5-3. Here's Jessen Potskin, the center fielder. Potskin grounded out to second in his first at bat. First pitch swinging, foul to play on the third base side. To short, a chance for Horn. That is Horn's first opportunity of the game and makes it cleanly. 6-3 goes Potskin. Not often you see a shortstop in the 4th inning who still hasn't had a chance to make a play. But no problem for Brennan Horn. And now here's Colin Shawn. Shawn has grounded out to second back in his first at bat. And therefore a strike on the outside portion. 0-1. High and outside on the corner. 0-2. Just getting that upper outside part of the plate. And disagreeing is Colin Shawn. He's going to take a quick walk and get back in there and face an 0-2 pitch. Right back to the pitcher. Nicely fielded by Don Scott. 1-2-3. Go the Diamondbacks in the 4th. No runs, no hits, no errors, none left on base. We are rolling along here. Started this one around 20 after 12. About 45 minutes of game time. We're through 4 innings. So cruising along in our second game. And speaking of cruising, we've been doing a whole bunch of it on East Coast Sports Show this past summer. And you can watch it on demand on your Bell Alliant Fiber Op TV package. Just click the on-demand button, or you can also watch it at bellalliant.net/community1. The East Coast Sports Show, a weekly look at all the great tournaments and sporting events and grassroots development of young players and weekend warriors, marathons, all that great stuff that make Atlantic Canada and sport so special in the summertime. East Coast Sports Show, check it out on Bell Alliant Community 1, your leader in local sports coverage. Getting ready to go here with our 5th inning. A scoreless tie. Don Scott and Devin McCullough in a good old pitcher's duel. There's Mike Craig, Tyler Doucette to follow, and then Brendan Horn. Mike Craig struck out back in the 2nd. Swings at a first pitch strike here. The 0-1 from McCullough. In there, called strike 0-2. Tyler Doucette again to follow, then back to the top of the order. Pitch high or low and outside. 1-2. Up high and swinging underneath is Craig, his 2nd strikeout. And that's the 10th strikeout now for McCullough. So through 10 1/3, McCullough has 21 strikeouts, combining the Quebec game from yesterday. How is that for a stat line? High chopping ball, a seeing eye single on the right side, or left side for Doucette. So Doucette has the 3rd hit for PEI. And once again, PEI has a man on base. And this has been the pattern, sandwiched in McCullough, striking out guys left and right. PEI has managed to get a runner on every single inning. Just haven't been able to get him to 3rd base at least. Foul out of play on the 3rd base side. The 0-1. Low and outside, 1-1. Well, we mentioned it in the 2nd inning that 1 run could win this thing. Ooh, man, that went over the head of Brendan Horn. And going to 2nd, running anyways on the play was Doucette, but he'll stand up there now as that ball got way up high and tight on Brendan Horn. That's easily the worst pitch that Devin McCullough has thrown so far. Even the pitch where he fell down was a strikeout. All right, so once again, PEI threatening. A runner at 2nd. 1 out. Here's your 2-1. Just outside 3-1. The 3-1. A shot to 2nd. Guest pass, Clement Haga. Coming home to score the 1st run of the game is Tyler Doucette. A hot shot that gets past the outstretched glove of Clement Haga. Give Brendan Horn an RBI single. And Doucette at or Doucette scores the first run of the game. 1-0 for PEI. So mark that. In the top of the fifth with one out, Brendan Horn, an RBI single. Runner goes, it's Horn, and he is out at second. Tries to steal a base on the first pitch and easily thrown out by Clement Haga. So Brendan Horn caught stealing. And now the base is empty for Jeff Ellsworth with 2 outs. But they had Clement Haga by a bunch. Or not Clement Haga, Brendan Horn by a bunch. Bakoyaway applied the tag, and then a shot that gets past Bakoyaway on the left side. And a single for Ellsworth. So put Ellsworth at first base with 2 outs.
Now batting number 15, Andy Skelton.
And for the first time in the ball game, PEI will send a 5th man to the plate. Up high, 1-0. But again, a great performance as well for Don Scott. Saskatoon has yet to see third. Brennan Pakoyaway reached second way back in the first. Unable to get a grip on it was Clement Haga out of the mitt. So Ellsworth down to second with a stolen base. And Jim Clement Haga just couldn't get it out of his glove cleanly. Up high. We'll go to a 3-0 count on Skelton. Mark Johnston to follow. He struck out twice. Or Johnston would follow should Skelton reach. He's looking at a 3-0 count here from McCullough. In there at the belt. Strike one. What a great crowd here. We're talking about a working afternoon in Charlottetown. Wednesday afternoon in the city, and just an absolutely outstanding crowd for this one. 3-1. Ball low, 4-1. And that'll put Skelton at first base.
Now batting number 10, Mark Johnston.
So Skelton at first with the walk. PEI has 3 singles in the inning. Runners at second and first. First pitch swinging and missing is Mark Johnson. The 0-1. Chopper to third. Cleanly fielded by Arsenic. He'll touch third base, and that'll do it for PEI in the top of the fifth. But they send 6 runners or 6 batters to the plate, and they get 1 run on 3 hits. No errors. And 2 left on base. And they have broken through here in this pitcher's duel. The bottom of the fifth will go. And a 1-0 lead for the John Brown's Fawcetts of PEI over the Saskatchewan Diamondbacks. And contact information on your screen. Hope to hear from you throughout the broadcast. B. McLean Sports on Twitter. Community1sports@gmail.com, our second game of the day. Earlier at 10 a.m. with Chris Abbott, the 2-time defending champs, the 3 Cheers Pub, defeating the East Hants Mastodons 8-3. Mastodons move on to a 1-1 record. 3 Cheers Pub improved to 2-0. It's our second game of the day, coming up at 2 o'clock. That's a scheduled start time, 2 o'clock. Team Quebec versus East Hants, the Mastodons. And at 3 o'clock with Chris Abbott on Field 2, it's an all Newfoundland battle. The Kelly's Pub versus the Three Cheers Pub. So that's going to be a lot of fun for Chris Abbott, the voice of Newfoundland sport there in St. John's, doing that game. High and just over the bleachers here, behind the backstop near the third base side. Jim Clemenhaga, the catcher. Chad Starling, the right fielder. And Derek Arsenic, the third baseman, to come up for Saskatoon. 0-1. Right back to Don Scott. Quick hands, quick throw to first. Don Scott fielding his position well. And Clemenhaga out. He's now 0 for 2 with the strikeout. And the ground ball back to the pitcher. Chad Sterling, he grounded out to the second baseman back in the second inning. Swinging and missing, 0-1. The bunt, that is in foul ground. And unable to make the play is Chris Craig. The throw went up or down towards home plate on the first base side. But I think Chad Sterling would have beat it out anyways. So a bunt single here for Sterling. How's that for dexterity for the big man? Looking at a dude about 6'3", 6'4", lays down the bunt, beats it out down the first base line. Just off the plate, 1-0. Don Scott, a long look into the umpire. He thought he had strike one. Bottom of the fifth from Central Field 1 in Charlottetown. High in the air. Calling for it is the second baseman, Betts. He'll make the play. So Betts out for the second out. Or Arsenic, sorry, out for the second out to Betts. And back to the top of the order with Devin McCullough.
Number 12, Devin McCullough.
McCullough takes to the plate, now batting 2 for 9. He got out to that great start with a solo shot home run. Since then, he's been 1 for 8. Struck out in the first. Flew out to left field. Back in the third. That's way outside. Heading down to second will be Sterling. 1 ball, 1 strike on McCullough. Mitch Hardy is warming up in the bullpen for Fawcetts of PEI. So Mitch Hardy down there warming up for the Johns Browns Fawcetts, and this is going to tie the game. Cruising home is Sterling, and chugging around second, now holding at second, will be Devin McCullough. So the pitcher helps himself out with an RBI double. The first extra base hit of the game. And it's for McCullough. He's now 3 for 10 for the tournament, and give him an RBI double. And we're all tied up at 1. So both teams breaking through with a run here in the 5th inning. Just a great game so far. You got a pitcher's duel, great defense in behind, timely hitting. Both pitchers working efficiently.
Now running at second base, number 10, Colby Beerley.
Running at second base for running at second base for Devin McCullough will be Colby Beerley. So Beerley in to run for McCullough. So Beerley at second. 2 outs in the inning. And here's Anthony Clemenhaga. Clemenhaga grounded out to second and had a sacrifice bunt back in the third. Clemenhaga wants to call time. Anthony batting .250 for the tournament. Swings and misses at a fastball low and outside, and now he's got himself an 0-2 count. Well, Don Scott, one more strike away from getting out of this inning to preserve a 1-1 tie. But the go-ahead run at second for Clemenhaga. Here comes row 2. And Clemenhaga strikes out. Scott will get out of the inning.
Okay, check your 50-50.
But the tying run comes home. Saskatoon sends 5 men to the plate.
Number 190.
2 hits, 1 run.
That's a red ticket.
No errors, and 1 left on base. And we go to the top of the 6th in a 1-1 game between 2 teams that really figure to be in the mix for Championship Sunday. Denny King checking in, watching online. Denny King, as mentioned, the voice of the UPEI Panthers men's hockey team. Incredible job he does on Panthers TV, on AUS TV. And he'll be joining us at 6:30 for the call of this game, the Fawcetts, or the game between Fawcetts and Team Quebec. So really looking forward to having Denny King up here in the broadcast booth. And of course, you can catch all your Atlantic Canadian community content at bellalliant.net/community1 and at Bellalliant Fiber Op TV on your package on the on-demand button. All the great community content shows when you want on Bellalliant Community 1. That is hit well to right field, but out there getting under it is Linus. First play of the game for Linus makes it no problem. And Mark Arsenault out on 1 pitch. So Arsenault out on 1 pitch, and here's Chris Craig. Chris struck out in the 2nd and singled back in the 4th. Guardian Sports checking in. You want to talk about a great local sports newspaper. It is The Guardian. What they do with their local sports column here in Charlottetown is just wonderful. You open up their sports page. 0-2. You open up their sports page, and it is almost 90 to 95% local sport based. And so hats off to The Guardian and their coverage of local sport here in Charlottetown. Fouled off. They'll do the 0-2 again. Just above the belt, 1-2. Bases are empty with 1 out. Jamie Bentz to follow. Mike Craig, should anyone reach. That is a solid single into right center. A big turn, but Chris Craig back to first with his 2nd hit of the game. So Chris Craig now 2 for 3. Put him at first base. And here's Jamie Betts. Been a tough day so far for Jamie. He struck out twice, both times swinging. Ten strikeouts in the game so far for McCullough. And that one is high. And therefore strike 1-1. Chris Craig at first base, Jamie Betts at the plate, Mike Craig to follow. The 1-1. Swinging at a high pitch. And now a 1-2. Here comes McCullough. Riser and unable to lay off is Betts. Too tempting. And that is the 11th strikeout for McCullough. And here comes Mike Craig. Actually, check that. This is going to be Jamie McDonald. So Jamie McDonald will bat here for Mike Craig. Mike batting from the left side here for Fawcetts.
Batting for Prince Edward Island, number 38, Jamie McDonald.
Runner at first. Sharply hit, first pitch swinging, and that was right at Sean. Got a nice hop, and he'll touch first, and Jamie McDonald won't even get a step out of the batter's box on that play. Grounded out to third. Once again, Johns Brown Fawcetts unable to score in Stephen McCullough. They do send 4 men to the plate. Once more, that's been a pattern for them. Got that run in the 5th inning, followed by the run by Saskatoon. And we're looking at a 1-1 tie as we go to the bottom of the 6th. No runs, no errors, 1 hit, 1 left on base. That's been the one trend for PEI that they may look back on should they lose this game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 men left on base through 6 innings.
The sport of softball to children by offering coaches easy-to-learn lesson plans. Learn to Play allows children of all skill levels to explore the sport of softball. For more information about the Tim Hortons Learn to Play program, visit www.softball.ca.
But again, Don Scott has pitched very well. And Don Scott back out there for his 6th inning. Not the same glamour numbers for Don. 4 strikeouts. And he's allowed 5 hits.
Batting number 4, Brendan McCoy away.
But has not walked, I don't think he's walked anybody, not on my numbers. Has not walked 1 base runner so far, or hitter so far. That is, trying to find it here, high to left field for Johnson. No problem for Johnson. So that's a big out. McCoy away again. They've managed to keep him somewhat under control. He's now 1 for 3 with a single. Here's Trevor Ethier. Ethier, and then Potskin and Colin Shawn, should anyone reach. And just at the top of the backstop. On the foul ball for Ethier, quickly 0-1. Chopper to short. Chance for Horn. Up with it quickly, and punching out here is the umpire of Ethier. Really loving the dramatic out calls of the umpires this week. Just good old school punch outs, especially from the first plate umpires. A lot of style and pizzazz in those punch outs. Something sorely lacking at the major league level these days. Jessen Potskin, 0 for 2. Grounded out to second, grounded out to short. Out in front of this one. Coming up in the top of the 7th is Doucette, Horn, and Ellsworth. for PEI. That one right back up the middle for Pottskin. So he's got a 2-out single. And a kick of the dust by Don Scott. He knows he let Pottskin get away from him. So the 6th hit of the game for Saskatoon. Former Pottskin. And now Colin Sean. Colin grounded out to second and back to the pitcher. He's 0 for 2. So Pottskin at first. First pitch swinging and missing is Colin Sean. The wind is gusting pretty good and kind of blowing in, swirling all over the place, but blowing in for the most part. 0-2. Scott a strike away from getting out of the 6th. Just off the plate, 1-2. Jim Clemenhaga would bat. He will not see the plate. Striking out is Colin Sean for the 3rd out of the inning. The 5th strikeout for Don Scott. Saskatoon sends 4 men to the plate. 1 hit, no runs, 1 left on base, no errors. The top of the 7th we go. Does extras loom for this one? Pretty sure this would be our first extra innings game of the tournament, should it go that far. The top of the 7th with Doucette, Horn, and Ellsworth. 11 strikeouts so far for McCullough, 5 for Don Scott. Scott has allowed 6 hits. McCullough has only allowed 5. McCullough's allowed 5 as well. McCullough's had a couple walks. The run for PEI came. Tyler Doucette scored after a single, and he was driven home by Brendan Horn. So Brendan Horn had the RBI single that was then caught stealing the end of the inning. But that's how PEI got their run. In the 5th, Chad Sterling scored after a single, and he was driven home by Devin McCullough, who had an RBI double. That all coming in the 5th, and that gets us to the 7th. And out there for his 7th inning is Devin McCullough. He has struck out 22 batters through 12 innings. Struck out 11 through 6 against Quebec and 11 through 6 here against PEI. A little bit of overcast here now. Sun ducking underneath one of the clouds. But not for long. Off the plate, and now McCullough struggling to find the plate. 2-0. Check that 3-0. Scoreboard wrong. And here comes your 3-0 to Tyler Doucette. Doucette struck out in the 3rd, singled and scored. In there for a strike. Doucette then back to the top of the order with Brendan Horn and Jeff Ellsworth. That's in there for a strike up high. That's the 2nd or 3rd time we've seen the umpire give that pitch, that high inside pitch, called for a strike. The 3-2. Swung on and fouled out of play down the third base line over by the entrance. So they do the full count again. In the 7th inning. Called strike 3. Doucette will sit down, the 12th strikeout for McCullough. So Doucette had a 3-0 count, but McCullough works his way back and gets the called strike for the punch-out. Brendan Horn reached on an error, stole a base, was stranded. Here's a bouncer to second, a tough play for Clement Haga, can't make it. Clement Haga got caught up between bounces there and took it off the heel of the glove. And that's the second error on Clement Haga with Brendan Horn at bat. Second time in the game that Clement Haga hasn't been able to control a ground ball from Brendan Horn. So Horn at first base, representing the go-ahead run. And he'll get to second on the pass ball. Mistakes hurting the Diamondbacks now. Brendan Horn will go to second. Jeff Ellsworth at the plate, and he has had McCullough's number. He's the one guy who's seen McCullough pretty good. 2 singles, 2 for 3, has a stolen base. Both times he reached first, he was stranded at second. So they're going to meet at the mound here and talk about how they want to approach Jeff Ellsworth, the center fielder. The go-ahead run at second for Ellsworth. That is hit a high into center. That is an absolute moonshot. And caught in center field by Poskin. Man, oh man, that nearly brought rain off the bat of Ellsworth. Poskin sticks with it, makes the catch. 2 outs in the inning. And here's Andy Skelton. Two outs. Andy Skelton struck out in the first, grounded out in the third, walked back in the 5th, and was stranded. Oof, he gets hit on the left hand, trying to shake it off. That pitch got up high and tight, and Skelton gets walked. Via the hit by pitch, he'll go down to first. That's the second time he's been on this game. Walked back in the 5th. So Horn at second, Skelton at first. Mark Johnson will come to the plate. Johnson struck out twice. Reached on a fielder's choice. And we have substitutions here, we do. Seth Hood is going to come in to run for Skelton.
Runner at first base, number 22, Seth Hood.
So Seth Hood will come in for Skelton. Mark Johnson will come to the plate. Mark has struck out twice, as mentioned. Actually was the 3rd out in the 5th on that fielder's choice. The number 4 hitter in the lineup. Swung on to left center and caught out in left field by Starling. An outstanding play by Starling. Chose the perfect angle, read it perfectly, and makes the catch. A sliding catch by Mark Johnson. That one had game winner written all over it, or at least leading run all over it. But Chad Starling makes a great play. So Mark Johnson allowed out to left field. PEI sends 5 men to the plate. No hits, no runs, 2 left on. And the 1 error for PEI, or for Saskatoon.
For the host Fawcetts in the top of the 7th.
Don Scott back out there for his 5th inning, or for his 7th inning of work. Oh, man. Well, again, remember, contact information on your screen. Not too late to reach out to us. B. McLean Sports on Twitter. community1sports@gmail.com. Would love to hear from you. Comments, feedback. Let us know where you're watching from, who you're cheering for. Any tidbits of info about players. We'll read your comments on the air. Shoutouts. As we go to the bottom of the 7th, Jim Clemenhaga, Chad Sterling, Derek Arsenic. This is the bottom of the order coming up for the Saskatoon Diamondbacks. Chopper to second. Betts knocks it down, and he'll make the play to first. Clemenhaga out 4-3. Well, this one is looking like extras, isn't it? For you friends from Quebec and East Hants looking for your 2 o'clock scheduled game, welcome to the broadcast. Out in front of that pitch, 0-1 is Chad Starling, who just made that great play in left field. But if you're joining us looking for your 2 o'clock game, welcome to Central Field 1. Foul out of play on the third base side. Good chase down there by the third baseman, Craig. Just couldn't get to it. We have a 1-1 game between PEI and Saskatoon. The John Brown's Fawcetts, the Saskatoon Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks are at the plate in the black uniforms. The 0-2. Striking out is Sterling. Don Scott's 6th strikeout. And now Derek Arsenic with 2 outs. If he can't get something going, we are off to extras. In there for a strike, 0-1. Both these teams 1-1 in the standings. Fouled off, 0-2. Don Scott a strike away from getting out of the 7th. At one point, we did see Mitch Hardy warming up in the bullpen. But that was about 2 innings ago. The 0-2. Just getting a piece and fouling it off. They'll do the 0-2 again. That should be playable for the first baseman. Skelton makes the catch with no problem in foul ground. Arsenic out to first base. 1-2-3. Goes Saskatoon in the 7th. All right, so now we go to the 8th inning. Off to extras with Arsenault, Chris Craig, and Jamie Betts coming up for PEI.
For Saskatchewan in the bottom of the 7th, there's no runs and no hits, no errors, and no runners left on base.
A pitcher's duel in our second game of the day. Devin McCullough out there again for his 8th inning of work. McCullough has struck out 12. Has allowed only 6 hits.
To learn to pitch or improve the pitching skills you already have, then Ken Pitch is for you. Ken Pitch is a softball Canada's national pitching program and comprises of
the runner at second base will be Mark Johnson.
Contact your provincial and territorial associations for more information.
So Johnson at second. And Steve Langley is going to hit here for PEI. I'll check that. They changed their numbers around. No, it says Steve Langley, yeah. On the original roster, it says Mark Johnson. But that is Steve Langley wearing number 28 on our lineup cards. So here's Langley. Again, what you'll see here a lot of times is with that runner at second, the first batter will be out there looking to sacrifice. Get that runner to third. Get the go-ahead run to home plate. Can't get it down. 1-1. Fouled off the backstop. Gray skies have entered Charlottetown. A developing overcast sky situation here. 1-1. The bunt and popped out to the third baseman, Arsenic. So Langley unable to get it down. Frustrating at bat for him.
Number 41, Chris Craig.
Goes in the dugout and tosses his bat aside. One out in the inning. Here's Chris Craig. Runner's going to go. The delayed steal. Mark Johnson. A heads-up play by Johnson. On the throwback to the pitcher, got a good jump off for second. And while the ball was in flight to the pitcher, took off for third and slides in there safely. And the third baseman for Saskatoon, Arsenic, having a joke down there. Giving some props. What a great play. So the sacrifice didn't work, but down at third is Johnson on the delayed steal. A gutsy heads-up play there by Johnson. And a little looper that is going to drop. Johnson will come home to score. A duck snort to right center. Just got past the infield in between 3 players. Johnson will score 2-1. And Chris Craig at first with an RBI single. So 2-1 for PEI here in the 8th. And Jamie Betts. Check that. Betts is out. And Dustin Jones into the game. So Dustin Jones in for Betts. In there for a strike. The 0-1. 0-2 quickly. Strike 3 on Dustin. So the pitch hitter sees 3 pitches and misses every one of them. He's out on strikes for the second out. 2 outs in the inning. Here's Mike Craig.
Now batting number 1, Mike Grille.
Craig struck out twice and grounded out to the first baseman. High and outside. Craig batting from the left side. That wind really blowing in now and towards the left. Just missing low, 2-0. And there for a strike, 2-1. The 2-1. 2-2. Out in front. Coming up is the top of the order for Saskatoon. Striking out is Mike Craig. 14 strikeouts for Devin McCullough through 8 innings. But PEI push a run across. It was the man at second base, Mark Johnson. One of the plays of the game, the delayed steal. With 1 out, Johnson gets to third and then comes home on the little Texas leaguer. Dropped in there in short left field. So Devin McCullough, Anthony Clemenhaga, and Brennan Pekoyaway all coming up here for PEI. Or for Saskatoon. They need to get a run.
Softball Canada's player development website, Triple Play, provides players, coaches, and parents with interesting and useful information with the sport of softball.
Derek Arsenic will be the runner at second base.
Softball stars and more, all on one website, www.tripleplaysoftball.ca, to check it out for yourself.
So Arsenic down to second. Here's McCullough, Clemenhaga, and Pekoyaway. McCullough struck out in the first, flew out in the third, and had an RBI double back in the fifth. Don Scott out there for his 8th inning of work. McCullough squares around. And another pop-out bunt. Not as bad as the one by Mark Arsenault of PEI, but a great play at first base by Skelton to get that pop-out bunt from McCullough. So McCullough not able to help himself out with a sacrifice. That's the first out of the inning. Now, of course, again, in the 8th, just off the plate, 1-0. In the 8th, after the missed sacrifice bunt by Arsenault, Mark Johnson had the delay steal. So they're able to get that runner to third with just 1 out. But right now, Saskatoon with the runner still at second. Foul straight back, 1-1. Here comes Clemenhaga and Pekoyaway. After this, to the third baseman, and they didn't try to get him off at second. It would have been close, decides to eat it, But more importantly for PEI, they do get the out. Clement Hagel lines out to third. And now Saskatoon down to their final out in the form of their best hitter so far this tournament, Brendan Bakoyaway. Bakoyaway 1 for 3. Five for 10 in the tournament. Hit a 2-run blast yesterday. Up high, and Don Scott falls after he throws. That's the second time we've seen a pitcher fall down after delivery. Of course, way back, I think in the second, McCullough fell down while delivering a strike. And right there, Don Scott hits the deck after delivery. Quebec and Nova Scotia coming up about 30 minutes after this one ends. And over at Field 2 with Chris Abbott from St. John's, Newfoundland, he'll have the all-Newfoundland battle. How's that? The two teams for Newfoundland, the Three Cheers Pub and Kelly's Pub, with the voice of Newfoundland sport doing the broadcasting. Going to be a good time for our friends over on the Rock. The 1-0. Fouled away on the third base side. Bouncing off the street and into the field. Scoreboard has 1-1. I believe this is a 2-1 count coming up on Bakoyaway. 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th with the runner at second. Don Scott trying to finish this one off. Swinging and missing is Bakoyaway. Saskatoon down to their final strike. Everybody up on the railing for Fawcetts. Don Scott to finish this off. He does! Bakoyaway swinging at a pitch on the outside corner, throwing the bat in frustration. A strikeout of Bakoyaway, his second of the game. In the 8th, Saskatoon will go 1-2-3, unable to even advance the runner at second. PEI is going to win this one 2-1. What a game. The pitcher's duel, the timely hitting. Just one extra base hit in the game. And PEI behind a outstanding performance from Don Scott that at times was overshadowed by the glamorous strikeout game of Brendan McCullough, or Devin McCullough. He had 14 strikeouts in the game. But Don Scott will be the winning pitcher. Gave up 6 hits through 8 innings. Struck out 7. Didn't walk a man. Not one walk for Don Scott. Unbelievable performance from the veteran. The pitcher's battle of the tournament so far. PEI moves to 2-1. McCullough, no doubt there, player of the game is McCullough for Saskatoon. And I'd be shocked if this isn't Don Scott for PEI.
And for a player of the game for Prince Edward Island, Don Scott.
Don Scott. Who else? So Saskatoon, the Diamondbacks will move to 2-1, or 1-2, sorry. And the host team, Fawcetts, will move to 2-1. They had the loss last night to the two-time champion Three Cheers Pub. Friends, you've been watching a presentation of Bell Alliant Community One, your leader in local sports webcasting in Atlantic, Canada. The 2014 Canadian Senior Men's Fastpitch Championships from beautiful Charlottetown, PEI. The final score of our second game of the day, PEI 2, Saskatchewan 1. Coming up in just about 30 minutes, it will be Team Quebec versus Nova Scotia. Thanks so much for everybody who reached out on the Twitter and the email. We'll talk to you soon, but for now, goodbye from Charlottetown. All right, friends, welcome back to the 2014 Canadian Senior and Masters Men's Fastpitch Championships from Charlottetown, PEI. We're getting ready for our third game of the day, and it's Team Quebec 0-2 coming in against Team Nova Scotia 1-1. Nova Scotia playing their second game of the day. Earlier, they lost to the Three Cheers Pub 8-3. So thanks so much for being with us here on the broadcast. Quebec is the home team there in the white uniforms.